Welcome to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast. I'm Samuel Harrison.
And I'm Olivia Harper.
Today we're diving deep into something a little different.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a question that might just make you go, huh, really? What's the strangest food out there that can help lower blood pressure?
Okay. I'm intrigued.
I mean, we all know the usual suspects, fruits, veggies, getting that heart pumping.
Oh.
But turns out there are some real hidden gems.
Hidden gems, you say?
In the culinary world, yeah.
Well, you know what's fascinating? The answer lies in a culture that is known for its long lifespans.
Okay, now you've really got me intrigued. What could it be? Some rare seaweed or exotic mushroom?
Not quite. It's actually something called natto. Have you ever heard of it?
Natto. Can't say that rings a bell.
It's made from fermented soybeans.
Fermented soybeans.
Yes. Imagine a sticky, stringy texture.
Okay.
Kind of like a cheesy, pulled-apart bread.
Yeah.
And a smell that some compare to strong cheese.
Strong cheese?
Or even sock.
Okay. That's definitely not what I was picturing. Not exactly the most appetizing description, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you said it's linked to longevity and lower blood pressure. There has to be more to the story.
Right. You wouldn't believe the nutritional punch it packs. Natto is loaded with protein, fiber, and essential minerals like potassium, magnesium, and calcium.
All the good stuff.
All of which are known to help regulate blood pressure. Plus, it's a good source of polyunsaturated fats, which can help lower bad cholesterol.
So this natto has been a staple in Japan for centuries. It's a nutritional powerhouse and comes from a country with a remarkably long-lived population. I'm starting to see the connection, but what's the secret ingredient that makes it so special?
Well, during fermentation, a unique enzyme called nattokinase is created.
Okay.
And that is where things get really interesting.
Nattokinase. Lay it on me. What's so special about this enzyme?
Think of it as a natural blood thinner.
A natural blood thinner.
Nattokinase actually breaks down fibrin, which is a protein that helps form blood clots.
So it's preventing clots?
Yes. By reducing fibrin, it can help prevent those dangerous clots from forming in the first place, improving blood flow and reducing the risk of stroke or heart attack.
Wow, that's a pretty big deal. Blood clots are a serious health concern, especially for folks worried about their heart. Are there any studies to back up these claims?
There's a growing body of research on nattokinase. One study showed that it actually helped lower blood pressure in participants. Now, it's important to note that we need more research to fully understand its long-term effects, but the initial findings are certainly promising.
Okay, so we've got this fermented soybean dish that's been around for ages, comes with a unique taste and smell, but seems to have some serious potential when it comes to heart health. I'm definitely curious to learn more. But aside from natto, you mentioned there are other unusual foods linked to lower blood pressure.
Yes.
Tell me more about those.
Absolutely. Let's move on to something a bit more familiar, shall we? Have you ever considered that a glass of milk could be a secret weapon against high blood pressure?
A glass of milk. Really? I thought dairy was more about calcium and strong bones. Yeah.
Well, milk contains compounds called lactotripeptides. These little guys might just be able to inhibit the angiotensin-converting enzyme, or ACE,
ACE?
which plays a big role in regulating your blood pressure.
I remember learning about ACE inhibitors in my EMT training, but refresh my memory on exactly how they work.
Imagine your blood vessels like a network of highways. ACE is like a traffic controller, and when it's overactive, it can cause those highways to narrow,
Okay.
leading to higher pressure in the system, which we know as high blood pressure.
Okay, that makes sense. So these lactotripeptides in milk could be acting like tiny traffic cops, keeping things flowing smoothly.
Exactly. The idea is that they could help relax the blood vessels and bring blood pressure down.
Okay.
But there's a catch. Research on their effectiveness is mixed. Some studies show a positive impact on blood pressure, while others haven't found a significant effect.
So more research is needed.
Precisely. We need more data to say for sure how effective they are in lowering blood pressure. Now for our final contender, let's take a trip to the tropics, shall we?
I'm always up for a mental vacation. Lead the way.
Imagine yourself sipping a tart, refreshing drink made from the calyces of the roselle plant, sometimes called Florida cranberry or Jamaica sorrel in the U.S.
Florida cranberry.
This vibrant red drink made from hibiscus flowers is enjoyed in many cultures. And guess what? Some studies suggest it might help lower blood pressure.
Wait, a hibiscus tea? That could be good for your heart. That sounds almost too good to be true.
It does, doesn't it? But as with the lactotripeptides, more research is needed to confirm its effects on blood pressure.
So we've got natto, which has some promising research behind it, and then lactotripeptides and roselle, which need a bit more investigation. This has been fascinating. But before we get too carried away, it's important to remember that even if these foods live up to their potential, they're not a cure-all, right?
Absolutely. These foods are not magic bullets. They're just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to maintaining healthy blood pressure.
Right. It's all about a holistic approach to health.
Exactly. Diet, exercise, stress management, all these things play a role in maintaining healthy blood pressure.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about. I might just have to try some natto and see for myself.
I think you should. Who knows, you might discover a new favorite food.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for the unique aroma.
Maybe I'll hold my breath the first time. But seriously, the potential health benefits are worth exploring.
I agree. It's a great example of how powerful food can be for our health, even in ways we might not expect.
And that's why we love doing this deep dive with you.
We love uncovering those hidden gems of knowledge and sharing them with you. It's all about empowering you to take control of your health.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive, let's circle back to natto for a moment.
It's definitely the star of the show today.
Even though it might sound a bit strange, it's packed with nutrients and has the potential to improve your heart health.
I think it's a great reminder that we shouldn't be afraid to step outside our culinary comfort zones.
There might be some amazing discoveries waiting for us, like a fermented soybean dish that could help us live longer, healthier lives.
Well said. We're always encouraging people to be curious and adventurous with their food choices.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be talking about natto as a mainstream superfood.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's got all the right stuff to earn that title.
All right, so that's a wrap on natto and our search for the strangest blood pressure lowering food.
We hope you learned something new and maybe even feel inspired to try something different.
Remember, knowledge is power when it comes to your health.
And speaking of knowledge, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this deep dive. What stood out to you? Have you ever tried natto or any of the other foods we discussed?
Leave us a comment, send us an email, or join the conversation on our social media channels.
We love hearing from you. And before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe to the TheEMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast for more deep dives into the world of heart health.
We're Samuel Harrison and Olivia Harper.
And we'll catch you on our next deep dive. It's like they hold some sort of secret wisdom. Passed down through generations, natto is a perfect example.
Yeah.
1,000 years of Japanese culinary tradition, and we're just starting to understand its full potential in the West.
Exactly. And it's not just Japan. Think about roselle, that hibiscus drink we talked about.
Right.
It's enjoyed in so many parts of the world. From the Caribbean to Africa to Southeast Asia, it's a cultural touchstone, a source of antioxidants, and potentially even a way to support cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
It's amazing how this deep dive is taking us on a global culinary journey.
Yeah.
But let's zoom back in on the science for a bit. I'm still really curious about how these foods work on a physiological level. We talked about nattokinase being a natural blood thinner. Can you break that down further?
Of course. It all comes down to fibrin,
Fibrin.
a protein that plays a key role in blood clotting. When you get a cut fibrin, it helps to form a mesh that stops the bleeding, but too much fibrin can lead to dangerous clots.
Right.
What nattokinase does is break down those fibrin strands,
Oh, okay.
making the blood less likely to clot and improving overall blood flow.
So it's like a natural anti-clotting agent working
Wow.
to keep those blood vessels clear.
Precisely. And that's crucial for preventing strokes and heart attacks.
Right.
Two major health concerns related to blood clots.
Now, what about those lactotripeptides in milk? How do they work their magic?
They have a different mechanism of action. Remember how we talked about ACE being like a traffic controller for your blood vessels? Well, lactotripeptides might be able to inhibit ACE, preventing those blood vessels from narrowing and reducing the pressure.
Okay, so while nattokinase is like a road crew clearing debris, lactotripeptides are more like traffic signals optimizing the flow.
That's a great analogy. It's like they're working on different aspects of the same system to keep things running smoothly. But I do have to emphasize again that the research on lactotripeptides is still mixed. We need more studies to be sure about their effectiveness.
Fair enough. Science is all about gathering evidence and refining our understanding. Now, what about roselle? We mentioned it's packed with antioxidants, especially anthocyanins, which give it that striking red color. What's the connection between those and blood pressure?
Anthocyanins are known for their anti-inflammatory properties, and inflammation plays a significant role in cardiovascular health. But when it comes to blood pressure specifically, roselle's potential benefit likely lies in its ability to improve endothelial function.
Endothelium. That rings a bell. But can you remind me what it is and why it matters?
The endothelium is the thin layer of cells that lines our blood vessels. Think of it as the gatekeeper of the circulatory system.
Okay.
It helps regulate blood flow, prevents clots, and protects against inflammation.
So if the endothelium isn't functioning properly, it could throw off the entire system.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that research suggests those anthocyanins in roselle may help to keep the endothelium healthy
Oh, wow.
and functioning optimally, potentially contributing to lower blood pressure.
Okay.
But as with the other foods, more research is needed to confirm these findings.
I'm really struck by how each of these foods, with their unique compounds and mechanisms, can contribute to heart health in their own way. It really highlights the power of a diverse and nutrient-rich diet.
It does, doesn't it? And it makes you wonder what other hidden gems are out there just waiting to be discovered.
Speaking of discoveries, I stumbled across something fascinating while I was researching natto. Did you know it's not just good for your heart, but it might have benefits for bone health too?
Really? That's intriguing. I'd love to hear more.
Well, it turns out natto is a good source of vitamin K2,
Okay.
which is important for bone metabolism. It helps activate proteins that are involved in bone formation and mineralization.
So, not only could it be helping to keep your heart healthy, but it might also be strengthening your bones. That's impressive.
Hmm,
Natto really is shaping up to be a multi-talented food.
I know, right? It makes me appreciate traditional food practices even more. There's so much wisdom to be found in them, and we're only just scratching the surface of what we can learn.
Absolutely. And it's a great reminder that food is so much more than just fuel. It can be medicine,
Yeah.
can connect us to our heritage and other cultures, and it can be a source of endless fascination.
Well said. Now, before we move on to our next topic, let's make sure our listeners are walking away with the key takeaways about natto.
Great idea. So remember, natto is that fermented soybean dish with the unique taste and texture.
Hmm.
That's been a staple in Japan for centuries.
Hmm.
It's full of nutrients like protein, fiber, vitamin K2, and essential minerals.
But the real star of the show is nattokinase,
Yes.
that powerful enzyme that's created during fermentation.
Nattokinase acts like a natural blood thinner, helping to prevent those dangerous blood clots and improve blood flow. And studies are showing it may even help to lower blood pressure and reduce the risk of heart disease.
So if you're looking for a natural way to support your heart health, natto is definitely worth checking out.
Just remember the taste and texture can take some getting used to, but hey, you never know. You might just find you love it.
It's all about expanding our culinary horizons, right?
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears a bit and explore some other crucial factors that play a role in regulating blood pressure. We've talked a lot about food, but lifestyle choices have a huge impact too.
You're right. Things like exercise, stress management, and sleep quality are all interconnected with our cardiovascular health. Let's start with exercise. What kind of impact does physical activity have on blood pressure?
Regular exercise is one of the most effective ways to lower blood pressure and improve overall heart health. When we're physically active, our hearts become stronger and more efficient at pumping blood.
So it doesn't have to work as hard to circulate blood throughout our bodies,
Right.
which means less force on our arteries leading to lower blood pressure.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just the heart. Exercise also helps improve the function of the endothelium, that lining of our blood vessels we were talking about earlier.
Right, the gatekeepers. So it's like exercise is giving the endothelium a workout too, helping it stay healthy and elastic for better blood flow. But what about stress? We all experience it, but how does it actually affect our blood pressure?
When we're stressed, our bodies release hormones like adrenaline and cortisol.
Right.
These are our fight or flight hormones designed to help us deal with threats.
So it's like our bodies are constantly on high alert, ready to spring into action.
That's a good way to put it. But when we're chronically stressed, those hormones can wreak havoc on our cardiovascular system.
So what do they actually do to our blood pressure?
Adrenaline and cortisol can cause our blood vessels to constrict, which, as we know, leads to higher blood pressure. And on top of that, chronic stress can contribute to unhealthy habits like overeating, smoking, and drinking too much alcohol.
All of which can make blood pressure problems even worse.
Uh-huh.
So it's not just about avoiding stress altogether, it's about finding healthy ways to manage it right.
Absolutely. Exercise is a great stress reliever, as is meditation, spending time in nature, or doing activities that bring you joy. Taking care of our mental and emotional well-being is just as important as taking care of our physical health when it comes to blood pressure.
Now, how about sleep? Everyone loves a good night's rest, but how does sleep quality actually affect blood pressure?
When we don't get enough sleep, our bodies produce more of that stress hormone cortisol.
And as we just discussed, too much cortisol can spell trouble for blood pressure.
Right. But it's not just about the quantity of sleep we get, it's the quality that matters too.
Yeah.
If you're constantly waking up throughout the night or not reaching those deeper stages of sleep, your body isn't getting the restorative rest it needs.
So even if you're logging enough hours, if the sleep is fragmented or restless, it can still lead to increased stress hormones.
Exactly. That's why it's crucial to prioritize both the quantity and the quality of your sleep. Create a relaxing bedtime routine. Make sure your bedroom is dark and cool, and avoid caffeine and alcohol before bed.
So we've got exercise, stress management, and sleep all playing a critical role in blood pressure regulation.
Yeah.
It really is a holistic picture, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Mm.
Taking care of one aspect of your health can have positive ripple effects on other areas. It's all interconnected.
And it reinforces the idea that health is a journey, not a destination. It's about making conscious choices every day to support our overall well-being, whether that's trying a new fermented food, getting enough sleep, or managing our stress levels.
Well said. And sometimes those healthy choices might involve stepping outside our comfort zone, like embracing a food that seems strange at first.
But as we've learned today, those unexpected discoveries can lead to some amazing benefits. It's like we've uncovered this hidden world of flavor and nutrition that's been right under our noses all along.
It really is. And it makes me appreciate the incredible diversity of culinary traditions around the world.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm struck by how food can be such a powerful bridge to our own heritage and to understanding other cultures.
That's such a great point. Food is so much more than just sustenance. It's a reflection of history, tradition, and values.
Like, I've never really given much thought to fermented foods before this.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Fermentation is one of the oldest methods of food preservation,
Yeah.
going back thousands of years.
It's amazing to think that people all over the world figured out ways to transform food using microorganisms long before we even knew what those were.
And those transformations not only preserve food, but often made it more nutritious. Which brings us back to natto. It might seem strange at first glance, but it really speaks to human ingenuity and our connection to the natural world.
So it's like a little science experiment in a bowl, a testament to the power of harnessing natural processes to benefit our health.
Exactly. Nature provides us with incredible resources, and sometimes it's just a matter of unlocking their potential.
Yeah.
And that process of discovery can be so rewarding.
I hope some of our listeners will be inspired to try natto after listening to this, even if it's just out of curiosity.
Who knows? They might just surprise themselves and love it. Or maybe they'll be inspired to try another unusual food that sparks their interest and leads them on their own culinary adventure.
That's what we hope for. We want to encourage people to be curious, to explore, and to take control of their health in a way that feels joyful and sustainable.
It's not about rigid rules or deprivation. It's about finding what works for you and embracing the amazing diversity that the world of food has to offer.
Well said.
Huh?
All right, before we sign off, let's leave our listeners with a little challenge. Something to chew on, so to speak.
Yeah. I love it. What if we challenge ourselves to try one new food every week? Something we've never tasted before, something from a different culture, something that pushes us out of our comfort zone.
That's a fantastic challenge.
Yeah.
It's a fun and delicious way to expand our palates, learn about different cultures, and maybe even discover some unexpected health benefits.
And who knows, maybe we'll stumble upon the next natto, an unlikely food with the power to transform our health and well-being.
That's what makes this journey so exciting. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of blood pressure-lowering foods.
We hope you found this information helpful and inspiring.
And we encourage you to keep exploring the fascinating connection between food and health.
Remember, knowledge is power when it comes to taking care of yourself.
And don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences with us. We love hearing from our listeners.
So until next time, take care of yourselves and keep those hearts healthy. We're Samuel Harrison and Olivia Harper, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive into the world of heart health on the EMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode with anyone who might benefit